Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands. Welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Cavane titled MPM. And if we switch over to here, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing Cavane. I'm assuming that's it. I don't know, it's Cavane. Cavane, I think it's Cavane. I'm going to go with that for this review. Again, apologies if I've gotten that wrong. But anyways, we're going to be listening through this track, MPM, from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh dude, the sub-bass resonance with the synths off the bat is awesome. Stellar motif off the bat, man. My heartbeat's craving for your lips and anatomy. That's actually a really good line. Great use of vocal fry with those synths and guitars keeping up. What I like about songs like this is that they make it very easy to review them because these are honest reviews. But when I'm enjoying everything that I'm hearing so far, I just get to gush over it, you know? I love the variety in the vocal performance, the moments of like sort of tender approaches with some of the lines and the vocal fry and some of those more intense sections with the drums, the bass, the synths and the guitar keeping up with it. It's just so colorful and so charismatic. Oh, such a full tone to the bass as well, man. I mean, it's a great video too. I love the chemistry between the people in the video, but obviously I'm going to be focused on the audio for this review. But yeah, I just love the synergy between what we're seeing on screen in the video versus what we're hearing in the song, especially with that space with the guy in the pool. It's a great audio visual experience. And just such a dreamy environment without needing that vocal focus here is really good. Great use of the real estate within the track this length. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not always a massive fan of music like this outside of the reviews. Like, obviously, I can appreciate and be analytical when I review music, because I want to understand the songs that are presented to me as part of these reviews. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I listen to a lot of this type of music outside of it. But that said, I think that Cavane, that they've actually kind of made it almost like I want to hear more of this genre through the quality of the performance today, and that's not a thing I get to say often. That a song that I hear makes me want to hear more other songs, other musicians like it. So if anything, I feel as if that's the greatest compliment I could give these guys today. A lot of people involved in this production. They did very well with the audio visual experience. Well done to them. Ochre Films. But we're going to get into the conclusion now so we can finish off the chat about this track. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Cavane titled MPM. Now, what do I think this track is about? I firmly believe that this track is about someone who just has a really intimate, deep connection with someone, but there are things, for whatever reason, that are preventing them from having that future, that idealized situation with them. As if there are barriers between them, worlds keeping them apart, external forces, etc. Maybe they did have a moment, but it just eluded them and the stars are beyond their reach. That's my take on it. There is a sense of tension, especially in that solo section, where it just seemed like maybe we had got really close enough to maybe tie up the loose ends, but we just couldn't complete it. Or maybe that one time we got too close was too close and we realized that it wouldn't work. But ultimately, I think that it was a fantastic performance from the instrumentalists, as well as a really compelling story. Shout out to the singer as well. I'm not sure if English is their first language, but they sang incredibly well. The words came through clearly. I didn't really even need the subtitles, because there were subtitles at the bottom of the video there. I'm not sure if they were baked into the video, or if they were ones that I think they were actually one I did. So there are English subtitles if you're going to watch this outside of this if you need them, but I don't feel as if I needed the subtitles. I think that they sang very well, really competent in their vocal range. The hidden truth voice was great. Nice use of vocal fry and some of those more intense chorus sections there. Lovely use of space within a dynamic stereo field there. It was a really intimate performance. Again, we expressed ourselves, I think, appropriately to where we were in the story. It makes me feel as if this is a song which was deeply meaningful to the singer as well as the rest of the band. And that is what I need, right? I personally don't think there's a point in releasing a track unless you're extremely confident about it, unless it represents you, who you are, or a story that you wanted to tell and you have faith in it. And it's clear to me that Cavane with MPM, they had a lot of faith in this track, and I'm very proud of what they managed to accomplish here, not least with the vocal performance, but with the phenomenal use, of the 5 minutes here. We not only had a story that had compelling vocals behind it with lots of range to the different vocal melodies and different ideas and motifs there, as well as a singer who knew when to step away from the mic and let the rest of the instrumentalists do their thing. But also, we had great use of that 5 minutes of real estate there. We had really delicate, occasionally delicate, should I say, really intricate technical performances from a lot of the different instruments within this mix, and they knew not only when to play, but when to pocket and step back, and when to allow space for other things. The sound design, it was tremendous, but we did have verses, we had the choruses and those kind of things, but we also had really interesting solo sections as well as instrumental intros and outros there. We had enough space to refine the hook lines as well as cement the stories within those verses, but we also had a lot of time to really appreciate the different synth pads and layers there, the guitar lines, the basses, and the drums. So if I talk about the different elements, the drums were fantastic. They kept the groove so solidly, meticulous on the kit. A great sense of rhythm and tempo, and the different 8th and 16th note grooves we had there were fantastic with some interesting fills and offbeats there. We also knew again to let the synths, which were wonderful and tremendously textured, and there was lots of different little synth sounds and pad tones there that I appreciate. We didn't just stick with one. We allowed ourselves to really explore the opportunities that we had in regards to the more synthetic elements, and we created wonderful, rich, deep pads there that filled up the stereo field nicely in that mid to high range there. We had sort of some sequences in there, maybe some other little glittery parts there that maybe necessarily weren't guitars, I'm not sure. But we really accentuated the harmonies well with those guitars, because the guitars are tremendous there. They are chimey, dreamy, reverb delay-laden parts there that really did create an extra little bit of soak in the environment, but made it almost magical, and it was incredibly soothing to listen to the track in part because, that guitar solo that we had there's a bit of tension with the tonalities and intervals at the start, but we knew to resolve it. I think that was during the physical intimacy part at the third part of the video, almost like the climax that was wonderful how we had that tension there to simulate that, and it was a really good point to have that tension within the overall composition because of the fact that it was that uncertainty there for things to then sort of come down from that and still present a kind of an uncertainty there with the extensions within that and the chord progressions and such like that. Was very mature songwriting, and I was happy with the range that we had there. It felt as if we went on a journey, almost like that is what you're supposed to do with songwriting. You're supposed to take the listener on a journey, and that's what we had with this track. The bass line, when it poked its nose in with those mid to fretboard ranges there, had a great sense of funkiness to it that really sat well in that mid to low range there, but predominantly it was sitting there keeping the foundation for the root notes there, and it just served its function so effectively. Things came out and interwove within each other. We had dynamic range to the performance. Things weren't the same loudness all the time. And what I really appreciate was the fact that the motif itself, even though there are points of hesitation, parts which sounded a little bit tough to listen to simply because of the tension, again, with the different instruments and how their notes affected each other within the overall chords. What I liked is that overall, it sounded wonderful. I assume I understand this to be dream pop. And that fits the name of the genre eloquently. It's exceptional. I don't think they had a single error or mistake in this from a composition or music theory foundations perspective. I think this was a damn near flawless track, and I don't say that often. I don't think don't know how they could have improved it. I think they, again, with a track this length that's outside of the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, you really do need to have an extra interlude section or a solo section. They tick those boxes. They came back to earth with those outro, chorus, hook parts, and it was just really satisfying. It was a somber, bittersweet tone to it, but it was still felt really warm and gentle and friendly and loving, and that's what we needed from this. I don't think if we'd gotten too dark with it, it would have been too much. So I'm glad that we knew how to meter that out and find any sense of timbre and tonal equilibrium there. But finally, studio recording, mixing, and mastering. Genuinely, I am stoked with it. I think that everything sounded nice and clear, whether it was effects laden or not. The vocals had effects on them, but the guy could clearly sing. The guitars, bass, drums, and etc. were soaked in some form or other of compression or filtering, EQing, or reverb or delay tails, but they were never too much. They managed to find a way to get the sound of it as if it was in the same universe, and it basically ran around your headphones really nicely. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field. Things were nicely filtered within the frequency spectrum with no resonant frequencies there, unless it was deliberate. And because occasionally I think we had some sub-bass resonance at the start with how things had a slow attack on some of those synth pads there. Was really charming, a nice entrance there. We didn't feel the need to throw everything to the listener at once, which is something I always appreciate. Have confidence in your motifs and your riffs, If you're getting to the stage where you're getting, attention and putting music out, you really need to have confidence. And I think these guys deserve any confidence they have. And the leveling of the instruments in the track was good. No issues there. There was dynamic range. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, which I really appreciate. And finally, things were nice. It handled it with the fact that it was nice and loud. So limiting bus compression was sorted. And I mean, basically, this is a really positive review of a track from Cavane titled MPM, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.